Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to the basement again at when I feel like 8 o'clock. Post rum o'clock, actually. Had to calm the nerves a little bit before I got her started today. Look at I got it all spiffied up for you. Yeah, gotta look good for my fan. I thank you actually for your letters of concern for why I hadn't been wearing my proper attire. I went through a little bit of a depression stage, but after several vats of Nutella and a talk with Shania Beavertooth, my spiritual advisor, I'm back on track again. Also, getting my nap ratios back up where they're supposed to be. But thank you all for your concerns. Today, I think I'm going to go with the Buffalo Sabres, mainly because they made a very interesting trade yesterday. Miss Jason Botterill's first as general manager, and if this is any indication of what's to come for the Buffalo Sabres through Botterill, things are looking good. This was a really good trade by Botterill. First of all, he identified a team that needed to do something with their cap room, and was uh, was able to identify their own needs and come up with a very underrated defenseman in Scandella. Um, I'm like really surprised that they got him the way he did. Got a defenseman of that caliber for as little as he gave up. Um, in actuality, it's actually not even a bad trade for Minnesota because they needed to get to free up some cap room for guys like Niederreiter and stuff like that. It had to be done. But identifying that, but Botterill identifying that and coming up with trading Ennis and Foligno and a draft pick. I think they switched 3 and 4 for Pominville, and Scandella was an excellent pickup. Foligno, as much as he looked like he had offensive upside, but it looks more like he's heading towards a fourth line capacity. And I would say in a good team, he's probably going to be a fourth line left winger, a very good fourth line left winger, mind you. And he can play the third line as well, and he does produce points here and there. It's not a bad pickup for Minnesota when you consider that they really were trying to just get rid of cap space. Um, and in return, and giving up Ennis, who has been just a bag of injuries the last few years. Feel for the guy, actually. Solid, small player that has played with a lot of heart, and it just seems like the game has been too much for his body. It's unknown how much he's going to get out of himself for Minnesota. It doesn't really look good that he's going to be able to stay healthy. So he might be a buyout candidate. Getting Pominville in return, Pominville has been slipping as well in his game, but I think he has more game to offer for the 4.5 mil or whatever that he's got. I can't remember how many years he has left on his contract. I think it's 2 or 3 or something like that. If need be, you might have to buy out a year or two of it. But until then, until they get some young players that will be able to fill in the role, he's good for the third line and can still help in a lot of ways, assuming he doesn't go even further down than he already is. But to do all that, I mean, they already had a guy that wasn't giving them much return in Ennis, so they got back a guy who looks like he could give more, and got Scandella, who is a very solid top four, very underrated defenseman. Um, Analytics wise, I'm not sure. I didn't check it out. I usually find that my eye test lines up pretty good with analytics, and he's an underrated skater. He's a good first pass out of the zone. He can, and the analytics people just kind of don't even worry about this stuff. But I think it's something that they should take a little more seriously. Is that he can play tough in the corners, and if you've ever played the game playing tough in the corners is important. Even if you're a low possession player, if you are, you better be tough in the corners and beat people up. And it is important, and he can hold his own. I think it was an excellent trade. I think it was an excellent move for them. I think they got the better of it as far as the players are concerned. And it was good for both teams because Minnesota's going to be able to sign some players, and they weren't going to be able to hold on to all their defensemen anyways. Moving forward, they right now if you look at the depth chart on most of the sites out there, they have Nylander basically in the top 6, and I do not think Nylander is ready. Actually, I didn't like the pick of Nylander. Especially when Sergachev was still on the board. That might be, if there's a reason why Murray should have got fired, that pick was it. I actually liked a few things that they did. I liked when he brought O'Reilly in. Even though Kane's had his personal issues I still think he's going to be a very good player once he gets that all sorted out, and I do believe he will. I don't think you should trade him. I thought Murray made some decent moves, but the only thing is he didn't bolster his defense enough, and he put too much in the hands of Ristolainen, who is a poor possession player and still has a lot of growth to do, and might have even hurt his progression in doing so. If there was a reason to let him go, I'd say it was for those 2 reasons. There might have been problems with him and the owner or whatever the case may be. But so far, Botterill looks like a choice pick. It's going to be interesting to see what Buffalo looks like by the end of the summer. But they are going to have to add a left winger of some kind out there, and I don't know if there's all that much in free agency that's going to get you that. So it probably is going to have to come through a trade. If you want to go hard and go big, which it sounds like Botterill's not afraid to do, I'd be looking at maybe Van Riemsdyk in Toronto if they're willing to trade him within the conference. Problem is you're going to have to give up a defenseman for that, and that's not something that they're want to do. Their defense now, I'd say maybe add a depth player, because it looks like Goulet looks like a really good prospect they got in the second round in 2015, is going to be your 7th defenseman as it is. So I would say probably you're going to want to add some defense. I can't remember his name now off the top of my head. Jeez, that played last year that probably shouldn't be in the league. Falk. You could use him as your 7th, but really, if you're using him on your NHL roster on a regular basis, you need more depth under D. So that shouldn't be too hard to find. Get some depth defensemen, but really, they should be going after a top left winger. Marlowe would be nice, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But something like that, an older one that is going to give Nylander a little more time to grow. Anyways, that's my full 42%, boys and girls. Make sure you stay well lubed. Jaime's Body Lube, it's the best. There, I said it. I just did a video on the Montreal Canadiens. I did Toronto. I did Nashville. Go check them out, boys and girls. Pearls of wisdom falling on your lap. How could you refuse? Have a great day. Lots of love to you. Subscribe button.